Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 4-hour time frame for Bitcoin, because right now we are in the process of potentially breaking down below 90,000 US dollars. And I say potentially because on this 4-hour time frame, we have not seen a 4-hour candle close below that 90K level. So therefore, technically speaking, it is still possible to hold that 90K level as a level of support on this time frame. Either way, if we now were to confirm a break below 90,000 US dollars, we will basically just be trading in this range here once again for Bitcoin, sitting between 90,000 and 85K. So at this point, you may be saying like, hey, is 93K the cycle top then for Bitcoin, or like what is really happening here? Well, I just want to take a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map for a minute, because as you can see right here on this 1 week time frame, you can see that right now most of the liquidity is to the upside. So we have about $350 million sitting at 92.3K. And typically the Bitcoin price gets attracted to where there is the most liquidity on this chart. So right now, most of that liquidity is actually to the upside. However, there is also some liquidity to the downside here. Another $240 million sitting at about 86K. So that's why I keep talking about this range here. You could even see a move back down to 86K before even resuming to the upside, right? So that is just something to keep in mind. And if we now were to break below 85,000 US dollars, then I think it is likely that we are coming down further to the downside to actually grab more liquidity to the downside there. For example, on this 2-week time frame, you can see that again, we have that liquidity at 86K, but then below that, there's also another $200 million worth of long positions that would get liquidated at about 81.3K, and even more liquidity, $360 million, sitting at 75.4K for the Bitcoin price. So again, to be short-term bullish here, we need to hold above 85K, because breaking that support would be short-term bearish at the very least. But for now, I'm still just holding on to my long-term long position. And over the weekend here, for me personally, nothing has really changed. If I take a look at this 1-day time frame for Bitcoin, right here you can see that we do have a CME gap at about 92K, and typically over 90% of CME gaps tend to get filled. Currently, we are trading at about 89.3K, and we do have that CME gap to the upside at about 92K. So do not be surprised if we actually end up filling that CME gap. And I do think that if we were to break out above the previous all-time high, then likely we are going further to the upside from there. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that we also have this CME gap at about 77K. And yes, technically speaking, this could also get filled before we get another move to the upside or something. But let me be very clear about this, guys. And I mean, I have been saying this ever since we actually created this CME gap. So I was saying it right here at about 82K or something. Like, do not try to short down to this move here, because it doesn't need to get filled necessarily. And especially considering that we are in such a strong uptrend for now on that 1-day time frame, it is very risky to try to short down to a CME gap like that. And staying on that 1-day time frame, you can see that right now we are still holding above that 1.618 Fibonacci level, sitting at about 98.1K. And so long as we keep getting daily candle closes above this level here, I would say that even with Bitcoin just trading sideways, that is still basically just bullish, and another move to the upside would still be possible. But again, if we now start getting daily candle closes below this 89.1K level, then I think it becomes more likely that we go to the bottom of that range that I talked about earlier in this video. Lastly, taking a look at the Bitcoin ETF flow tables. For today, I don't have an update on the Bitcoin ETF flow tables because the Bitcoin ETFs only trade on weekdays. So of course, next week, I'm going to continue to track this every single weekday. Either way, this has been today's market update. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.